good. The May 6, 2024 City of Vandalia Council meeting is now called to order. We'll start with a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's been recommended that council amend the agenda for this evening to include Resolution 24-R-34. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilman Follick to add Resolution 24-R-34. Call the roll.
Councilmember Follick?
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
I will abstain, so the vote is approved 5-0 to 1. All right, council, you've had an opportunity to review the study session minutes and the meeting minutes of the April 1st meeting, and also the April 15th meeting minutes for the study session and the council meeting. We also have the council retreat minutes of April 17th. Are there any comments or corrections of that? Being none, they stand approved. That brings us to communications, petitions, and awards, and we'll begin this evening with a proclamation for Bicycle Month. If Mr. Smith can join me at the podium.
Yeah, that's right.
Good.
Good to see you.
Go ahead and like to read the proclamation for Bicycle Month. Whereas the month of May of 2024 has been proclaimed National Bike Month, and whereas the bicycle is a viable and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent form of recreation and can be used for commuting, shopping, and errands in lieu of operating a motor vehicle, thereby preserving natural resources and reducing air pollution. And whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion. Whereas the City of Vandalia adopted a resolution in 1995 establishing a policy on designing, modifying, and maintaining public streets to facilitate bicycle usage. And whereas the City of Vandalia is a bicycle-friendly community and wishes to encourage the use of bicycles as a means of transportation. And whereas it is consistent with the city's high level of environmental consciousness and concern to support and encourage the citizens of Vandalia to consider incorporating bicycling into their lifestyles and daily activities whenever possible. Now, therefore, I, Richard Herbst, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Vandalia, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Bicycling Month in the City of Vandalia and encourage all persons to consider bicycling as a fitness and recreation activity, and especially as an alternative means of transportation that saves energy and reduces pollution and traffic congestion. All right.
Thank you very much,
If
Mayor.
you'd like to. That was on, I believe it's on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. And I did want to mention that our mayor and his son are bicyclists, and we have many other bicyclists in this room, I'm sure. We appreciate the city's great support for cycling over the years. And most recently, of course, the beginning of construction on our connector, connecting Vandalia to the Great Miami Trail and Taylorsville Metro Park. That's something that we've actually been working on for 30 years. I used to carry my bike across that track every day on my way home from work at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And starting the end of this next year, that folks won't need to do that anymore. We'll have a bridge, a bicycle pedestrian bridge across the tracks, and a much better situation. And thanks to the city for all the great work. City staff supporting us with the Bicycle Advisory Committee, and we just thank the city very much.
We appreciate it. We're all looking forward to that connector.
Yes,
Much safer crossing your railroad tracks over a bridge than
definitely,
picking your bike up and rolling.
definitely, without a doubt.
All right, well, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. And next we have a proclamation for National Police Week. Chief Althouse. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
The Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. It's important to all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their division of police. And the members of the Division of Police recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. In honor of Lieutenant James E. Bahana, a member of the Division of Police who gave his life in the line of duty on December 30th, 1969, and other law enforcement officers who through their courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. Let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of these fallen heroes. On behalf of my colleagues on City Council, I'd like to present this proclamation to Chief Kurt Althouse, proclaiming May 15th, 2024 as Police Memorial Day and the week of May 12th through the 18th, 2024 as Police Week in the City of Vandalia, recognizing the members of the Division of Police of the City of Vandalia who play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our Vandalia citizens. You want to say anything?
Just thank you, everyone, for your support. On behalf of all the great men and women who work at the Vandalia Division of Police, we appreciate the support we get from council, from city leadership, and from our community. So it's an honor to serve.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I'd also like to congratulate Chief Althouse because he was just recently sworn in as the incoming president for the Ohio Associations of Chiefs of Police. So that is quite an honor, and we're so proud to have you as our chief. Our council's proud of you. Our citizens are proud of you. Thank you. All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. At this time, Mr. Wentz going to introduce our building and electrical inspector.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I would like to introduce Mr. Paul Barnett, who joined us relatively recently. On April 15th was his first day. Mr. Barnett has 20 years of experience. He lives over in Beaver Creek. Most recently, for a couple of years, he was an electrical and residential inspector in Greene County. He was also an inspection supervisor at Montgomery County. And also an inspector at Montgomery County. He's worked in the private sector as well with Saturn Electric, and is a member of the Associated Builders and Contractors, where he completed his certificate. And so we're really glad to have him on. He came with really high recommendations. The building inspection group is a very small, close-knit group. And I know that our chief building official and Robert Martin and our prior inspectors really thought a lot of him. And so he's got the right customer service attitude for our division, and we're happy to have Paul on board. Thank you, sir. Next, the young man with the three boys in front, we have our new Public Works Superintendent, Jake Haslett. Jake's got his boys and Mrs. Haslett here. They are residents on Roxana. Jake came back to us as the Assistant Public Works Superintendent, and I really feel like, and I know that Jake is going to be the success story where we didn't do always our best job in purposeful succession planning at the city of Vandalia. And so it's great to be able to see Jake move up the ranks. He had worked for Veolia and Huber, came over here in 2017 through 21 to be a public works technician for us at the city. He went back to Huber Heights to be a supervisor for a period, and then was in the public works superintendent recruitment. Jake did such a good job, and we knew that he was the right guy for the job eventually. We're thankful that council allowed us to create the assistant public works superintendent position. He's done an outstanding job, and so he's taken over that role and is managing that division. And so really happy about that. Jake, if there's a few words that you'd like to share, we'd be glad to hear them. And also, I want to point out, Jake also, one thing you might not know about him, he was a missionary in Ukraine. And so he's got some international service experience too that I think a lot of people might not realize.
Yep. Yes, I just want to say thank you to everybody on council. It's an honor to be a part of this team to make Vandalia a better city. I grew up here in Vandalia, went to Butler, went to CTC for carpentry. And, you know, I played sports here at Vandalia. Now my sons, they play baseball at the rec and soccer at the rec, and we just love it. We love what's going on with the parks, seeing the new playgrounds and all that. But it's an honor for me to be in the position I'm at, to help Vandalia be a better place, just to enhance the infrastructure, you know, water mains, sewer, the storm, everything. Things that we don't see that's underground. Also the things that we do see, you know, from curb to sidewalk, all that. So I'm just very thankful for the opportunity, and I'm excited to serve this city. So thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
Next, I'll just take a moment to introduce Josh Wass, who is our Public Works Technician Supervisor. He was just appointed to that position really recently, the 24th of April. He took over on that. He's been with us since 2018. Everybody who's ever been on or around Josh's crew knows that he's a good worker. He's technically competent. He can operate. He's the first guy in the hole, which is good and why you want a guy like him on your jobs. And also he's willing to tackle tough projects. That is his reputation. That is something that I've seen and witnessed in my time working with Josh. And so I'm really happy for him and would just like to say congratulations to you and good luck.
All right.
Finally, I'll introduce, and then we'll do the ceremonial oath of office for Lieutenant Zach Holbrook. And Zach, if it is convenient for you, do you mind standing up? I know you're wrangling. Zach, I think, was about one of my first hires at the city, certainly the first firefighter, paramedic, inspector who I had the privilege of hiring. He was a firefighter paramedic at Riverside for a couple of years, has been a shift supervisor in St. Paris, which is where he is from. And he's been a firefighter paramedic inspector full-time, well, since 2021, but he was part-time in our department as far back as 2017. Zach is a veteran of the Army. He was in the Army from 2011 to 2019, and his job was specifically related to aviation fuel supply. You know, I'll just point out, in Zach's letter, This is one of the things that I think really sets him apart and positions him to be in a good place to be successful. He wrote this letter to Chief Follick for this promotional process, and he stated to the chief, "I've never formally held an officer's position at any of the departments that I've worked for. However, that's never stopped me from leading my fellow members. I've trained, mentored, and assisted many in their career to help them reach their goals and go beyond them. Some of the people I've trained and mentored have gone on to become officers or successful full-time employees with their respective departments. I feel my duty is to teach others everything I know to make them successful as others did with me." And Chief, you'd back up that that's consistent. When you get a new part-timer on board, he's the first guy you send him to.
One of the best assistant coaches we have.
I love it. With that, I just invite the Holbrook family up, and we'll go ahead and do the swear-in.
Do you want to introduce everybody real quick?
Let's see. So the youngest here is my son Micah. This is my beautiful wife Ellen. In the middle there is Apollo and my oldest son Riker.
Now, do you guys want to be cops or firefighters when you grow up? Still time, Chief. Still time. That's good. That's what my son says too. All right, let's go ahead. Will you please raise your right hand? I, Zach Holbrook, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the United States and of the state of Ohio, that I will in all respects observe the provisions of the charter and ordinances of the city of Vandalia, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Fire Lieutenant within the Division of Fire. Congratulations, Lieutenant.
Hey, Dan, I'm going to do this for Angela. Don't dismiss anybody. All right, and at this time, council would like to recognize Ms. Schwartz, because this is Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and we have something chosen especially for you.
Appreciate all you do.
At this time, this is a public meeting. If you'd like to stay, you're more than welcome to, but nobody will be offended if you would like to leave now before we continue the city's business. Thank you.
I know. 75. Corey, 75.
We spend millions of dollars on HVAC.
He's been holding that on
All right, we have no public hearing. That brings us to comments from interested citizens. So if anyone has a comment they would like to make, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record and your comment.
Boy, do I know how to clear out a room. My name is Jerry Smith. I'm a Senior Vice President at Apex Commercial Group, and my address is 7887 Washington Village Drive, Centerville 45459. I represent Ministry Partners. They're the owners of the 5 acres at Weiss and Homestretch. I also represent large industrial portfolio to the immediate north of the parcel. And as you guys folks know, that you guys recently had both a planning commission report and voted on that conditional use. And I'd like to make a statement and present some additional information and perspectives concerning the conditional zoning case there for Weiss Road. My clients were very surprised that the council overturned the unanimous recommendation of your planning commission recommending approval of the conditional use, stating categorically that it met all 6 criteria for conditional use. However, my research into the planning commission and council planning sessions has led me to believe that council was just doing its job to protect its community, and in particular, one resident up the street doing the best possible job with the information at hand. But I think council was provided some incomplete information, some of it was erroneous, and some erroneous concerns, and it lacks some additional perspectives when making that decision. Tonight, I'd like to present some information I think that would clarify and correct some of the information and that my clients would like you folks to take under advisement. First, let me address the unspoken elephant in the room, and I'm sure weighed on council's decision and was voiced as a concern by the Homestretch Road resident, I think, who was the sole objector to the conditional use application. And it's Vandalia's nasty experience with the Super 8 Motel and Nights Inn. Vandalia and almost every community has had a problem with this type of hotel. I wanted to contrast that problem hotel class with Choice Hotels Everhome. The Nights Inn and Super 8 motels were designed for and targeted as cheap short-stay motels, the lowest end of the hotel scale. Both hotels are 40-year-old plus, closing on the half-century mark. Given their age and initial design and target market, they didn't have far to fall to reach their decrepit building status. Both were owned by underfunded independent franchisees operators. I think both are valued just under and just over $1 million. And if you look at the profile of problem hotels in any community, they meet the profile of the Nights Inn and the Super 8. Now I want to contrast that with the Choice Hotels. This is to be a corporate-owned and operated hotel, not a franchise. And I want to underline that this is a corporate-owned hotel, and they will operate it. Choice Hotels had annual revenues of $1.5 billion in 2023. It has over 7,000 hotels in 43 countries. Choice Hotel values this investment at approximately $10 million. It's a big investment they wish to protect the value of by operating them themselves. Their ideal target clients will be professionals working on longer stay projects on work assignments and see Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and the airports Sierra Nevada and Joby Aviation as a source of clients. These are more like mini luxury condos than hotels. They are well-funded, very successful, and this project in no way meets the profile of a nuisance hotel today by design or operation. Now we're in the long term. The sole objector to this project, as far as I can tell from the public records, are the Kirkers at 6690 Homestretch Roads. You can't but feel sympathy for them. They have an impeccably maintained property dating back to 1920. I've represented the industrial portfolio, including one right across the street from them. I've admired this home. It's a very nice place. Unfortunately for them, in the late 1970s, that neighborhood went industrial and office, mostly industrial. The viability of that neighborhood as a residential place 50 years ago, and now along with one or two others, they are remaining survivors, outliers in an era gone by. The Kirker cited the Super 8 Motel and the Knights Inn as one of their objections to the choice hotels. They even stated Knights Inn guests wandered down their street. Well, they must be Apple Watch wearers getting in their steps, because it's a 3-mile round-trip walk from Knights Inn to Weiss and Homestretch, so I'm surprised to learn that the Knights Inn's guests were such health nuts, but anyways. The Kirker said that they had heard concerns from the industrial neighbors about a hotel. I represent the largest industrial property neighbor. It's part of the adjacent portfolio. And the only property that actually is adjacent to the hotel site. They have voiced no concerns to me in my discussions, and when I tell them the proposed investment value of the property, their major concern is what's it going to do to their taxes? Is it going to raise our property taxes? The Kirkers raised concerns about environmental condition of the property, citing a need for a Phase 2 study. Want to let you know that, and Mr. Kirker, that they'll be glad to know that ministry partners did extensive Phase 1 and 2 environmental studies and remediation of the site. It's been cleaned up to prepare for development, and Choice Hotels has also conducted its own independent environmental studies and found it to be a clean site. The Kirk said Sunbelt were concerned about transient residents on the property, citing 3 break-ins at Sunbelt Rental as part of their concern. And having a vacant parcel surrounded by industrial is an invitation to transients. When I first took over the property, it was obvious that there was drug use and transients camping on the site. The ministry partners did clean up the site and cleaned up evidence of camping, tore down a house that had been abandoned and broken into by squatters. Now, the best solution for the Kirkers and everybody to the transient crime and drugs and that parcel is to have a $10 million development on it. Another complaint of Kirker's complaints, again, the sole objector, as far as I can tell from the hotel, is they complained about the amount of truck traffic and noise that the industrial properties generates. Well, this parcel is zoned for office and industrial. Office is never going to happen here. Office is not going to happen a lot of places anymore. If this hotel fails, its most likely development will be more industrial, which will bring more trucks. And we know the city and the Kirks have had enough of trucks. The last thing anybody wants in the city is more trucks. Ministry Partners is a Christian group that finances churches. They inherited this property by default. They cleaned it up literally and environmentally. They tore down the abandoned, was a former murder house site and drug house, and then if they sell the property, they will recoup a lot of their losses here and then lend that money out to another churches to build new sanctuaries. Choice Hotels is a known commodity. If they want to own and operate this to the highest standard and invest their capital, what will be the most valuable commercial property in the neighborhood, and do it right. Again, a well-funded, successful history. We have 2 good corporate citizens here. I applaud council for seeking to protect Vandalia from another Super 8 hotel fiasco. But this facility is on the top of the food chain in their industry, not the bottom. It is nothing like in the class marketing or design of the problem hotels. I also applaud them for listening to and wanting to protect the Kirk's property values and protecting them from crime and their quality of life. However, I talk to other properties in the neighborhood who do not share their same concerns. The vacant parcel is a target for transits, crimes, and drugs, and a $10 million development will put an end to it. It will protect and raise property values and permit the use that most likely for the site will be industrial, and and I think it'll help the Kirkers not to have another industrial site, more trucks there. My clients have invested 6 figures in getting this site ready for this development between cleanup, testing, demolition, engineering, and architectural drawings and studies. For this investment, at the very least, we'd like to request three things. At the very least, a clarification on why the council denied the conditional use beyond citing it didn't meet criteria 1, 2, and 3, after planning said it met 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And for this investment, they would also like to request, is there anything that the seller or buyer could do here to alleviate the concerns of a council. And lastly, and ideally, we would like council to take this under advisement, consider a revote on the conditional use. I believe if one of the four that vote against or propose a revote, you could vote on it even tonight, or at least open it up for additional discussion and vote by the entire council. And I'll add one more thing. My clients, this is really our only avenue for redress. They have no intention of filing an appeal or going to court. That's, they don't want that for a corporate image, and ministry partner, it abides by that. I've sat on zoning commissions multiple terms in 2 different jurisdictions. I've been doing this 30 years. I think they would probably have a pretty strong case, but I just want to let you know, this is their only redress to it, so this is one and done tonight, so. Any thoughts, any chance we could get a revote here?
Defer to,
I was gonna say, I would be open to having some discussion possibly in our next study session regarding this to maybe get, maybe some more clarification like they've suggested.
in clarification, I know Mr. Smith, but besides that, my office is right on home stretch. We occupy several warehouses there, about 200,000 feet. And I drive by this particular parcel 5-10 times a day at home stretch and Wise. And I believe that the highest and best use of that property is probably what has been proposed. And I unfortunately wasn't here for your council meeting. But notwithstanding, I believe that investment, it gets a return to the city, and that particular parcel is, I mean, it's a 5-acre spot. You can't put a warehouse in there. I don't know about an office building. I suppose that's possible, but there are no office buildings of that sort, and there isn't a real high demand for that. I think we had a proposed trucking or truck repair facility there several years ago, and that fell through, or they weren't well enough financed. But this seemed like a good alternative, and I think if council would maybe take a look at it, it might behoove us to do so.
Well, just to echo Councilmember Lewis's comments. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for coming this evening. I don't know if you were present at the Planning Commission meeting or not.
I read the minutes.
Okay. And so some of the information you gave tonight was the first time I've heard some of it.
Yeah.
I was in favor of the conditional use at the last meeting and voted in favor of it.
Yeah.
So I would entertain revisiting this issue. I don't know if the law director can shed any light on what the procedural process is for that, or if it has to go back through the Planning Commission process. But I think it's something that we need to entertain, because to Councilman Lewis's remark, since I've been involved on Planning Commission and Council, I know that there have been at least 2 proposals for that property, both of which have fallen through. So even though there is a concern, whether it's legitimate or not, with a hotel, with the number of hotels and motels along Miller Lane, to your point, that this type of development and the scale of this development should not be used in comparison to those. But also, I think the city, through legislation action by council and through enforcement actions by police, fire, and DES, have taken great steps to address the issues that we have at our 3 existing, what I will call motels, not hotels. And I don't think we would see the same type of problems, and if we did see them at this facility, they would quickly be rectified through the enforcement mechanisms that we have in place. And so to me, there was no concern that the conditional use criteria had not been met. So I would be open to revisiting it if that's the pleasure of council, and if it's even permissible based on the law director's interpretation of our code.
I too would be agreeable with
I
reopening.
have a couple questions, but, even though our staff has done a great job in reducing calls, they still exist, and there still is a huge number of rooms in that vicinity, though you say that yours is going to be different. Does Choice Hotel ever sell their properties? It's corporate-owned, it's planning on being corporate-owned.
They're for the foreseeable future, no one can guarantee long-term. They have 7,000 hotels, but this is going to be a new venture for them. I mean, it is, and they're all going to be corporate-owned.
And then
Yeah,
how
like-
long till you do your step down on that hotel to 10 years, so forth?
That I
Okay.
I can't answer, but, hotels are contemplated in your zoning code. I mean, unless you put a moratorium like you do for marijuana dispensaries or something, I mean, they are contemplated. So if you're gonna say, because of these bad actors down here, we're not gonna allow any hotels, and
No.
you can address that through legislation. But they are aware of, as your one councilman pointed out, of all the criteria that they have to come in here as far as meeting with the police and meeting with council and doing all that regular thing. And yet they're still willing, I mean, that's going to discourage a lot of new operators, from coming in and stuff.
And
And they're not.
families can stay there long-term, children, pets?
Their target audience is 7 to 21-day stays. It's a $10 million hotel. These are not going to be inexpensive rooms. So I imagine well-heeled families who are coming to Bicycle Week or whatever in Vandalia could possibly stay there, but I think it will be prohibitively expensive for them. And again, it'll probably be the most expensive commercial property in the neighborhood. And from Poe to Homestretch, north of Weiss Road, it's all office and industrial. I mean, that neighborhood is almost all developed. This is an outlier, and unfortunately, it's a problem property that my out-of-state owners have a tough time. It's a constant battle to keep it cleaned up, and, someone can walk in there tonight and, start cooking up meth. You just get, But I think it's the highest and best use. But I think if you don't want any hotels, there's a way to address that. But I think it's the highest and best use for this property. And I quite frankly, I didn't come to the planning commission and I was surprised that it was, that it was turned down. But they are good corporate citizens. They don't want to bully their way into a town. They're willing to, do whatever you guys want them to do with it, but they won't take legal action, and they're throwing themselves on the mercy of the council here.
Okay. Jerry?
Can the law director, is it possible to do a revote, or do you have?
No, there is, we do have a motion for reconsideration in our code, which is under section 220.05H. And what it requires is somebody in the majority that voted last time would have to make the motion to reconsider. And then that has to pass by a majority vote to reconsider, and then you would reconsider the vote.
Would that be done now?
The motion to reconsider would need to be done now for this, because it has to be at the meeting where the action took place or the next meeting. Because this, if it was a contract issue, it's a little bit different, but this isn't a contract.
Can I have a motion to reconsider?
So it would have to be one of the four that voted in favor of the denial.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. And Dave's
So it was, all right, yeah, so it would either have to be you, Your Honor, Ms. Avalotis Weaver, or Ms. Farce to make the motion.
By the way, there was a little confusion on the last vote because it actually was a 3-3 tie the first time the vote was taken, which the denial would not have passed. And then they did take another vote.
No, it was the same vote, I just misunderstood.
Oh,
the-
okay.
The last,
Good enough.
what the last vote was. So.
I was hoping at least for clarification, they take your vote. But the silence is golden here, speaks.
All right,
speaks
I would like
words.
to make a motion to revisit this
Okay.
issue.
Second.
Call the roll?
Is Corey allowed a second?
Yeah, if he made the motion.
There's no problem there with that second, correct?
Doesn't matter who makes a second, correct?
The motion has to be made by one in the majority. Councilmember Lewis?
You can vote to reconsider.
This is a motion to reconsider the issue. It's not to approve the issue, it is just to reconsider the issue.
And we're going
Understood.
next.
But due to my absence, am I allowed to participate?
You're here, it has to be by a majority of the people that are present at this meeting, yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Follak?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
No.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
No.
Vice Mayor Blakesley?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, the motion passes 4-2.
And now we can entertain a motion to grant the conditional use, if that is, somebody wants to make that motion.
Do we want to have further discussion around this?
We can do,
I think we
Yeah,
do.
I thought we were just,
Discussion.
we can have the discussion,
we
I
were
don't-
moving
yeah,
it
you-
to discussion at the next
make the
meeting.
motion, then have the discussion.
I thought you said next time, next
Yeah.
meeting, we would have discussion, is what I thought you said, Jerry.
That's what you, yeah, that's what you said.
What?
Because we don't have Cindy here. I
You-
think we should
Yeah.
have.
You can
make
make
a
a motion,
to have a
have
discussion.
discussion. You don't necessarily need to take a vote
vote.
on the conditional use tonight. You could continue discussion on it, or you could say at this point, I'd just like to see it at the study session.
I think that's what the mayor had said already, so that the next study session, we can discuss it further.
Plus, Sam brought up a good point. Ms. Dugan's not here tonight, so we'd like to have her part of the discussion.
Okay. So this is going to be up for reconsideration at the next meeting, is that?
Correct.
That is correct? I'm trying to think if I need a motion to move it to the next study session, but I think we'll just put it on there.
You could be table.
If you want to make a motion to be safe?
Yeah,
If it's
I
not
think
needed,
so.
it's not
Let-
needed.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to reconsider.
No, to,
Or to discuss.
the issue of
Move
the
the
conditional
agenda
use.
to the next meeting, the conditional use for the Choice Hotel at the May 20th meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Follick and a second by Vice Mayor Blakesley to revisit this at the next meeting.
Councilmember Follak?
Yes.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes?
Councilmember, or Vice Mayor Blakesley?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, the motion passes 6-0.
So this will be brought to the next study session for consideration.
Thank you for your time, and I hope I didn't delay you getting home too much later tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Is there anyone else like to make a comment? And remember to state your name and address for the record.
My name's Ed Carmack. I live at 567 North Tianda Drive, Vandalia. I live behind the 8 Hotel, Super 8. Excuse me. I just had the manager come to my door a couple days ago saying they're going to tear down the fence behind our property, which I've maintained for the last 30-something years. When the wind blew it down, I put the concrete in the post and fixed this. I've never seen the hotel touch that fence. Now they're going to take my 8-foot fence down, and we have other people that have 8-foot fences down through there. Even the new Shell station has an 8-foot privacy fence, and they're going to put up 6-foot. And then they said they were going to move it 4 foot back toward their property, which means they just cut all the trees down. They had a couple dying pines, but they cut them all down. The sound barrier ones, the hotels, I mean, the freeway's so loud at my house now you can't hardly stand it. And they're gonna move the fence back and put those stumps on my property. So to speak, it'll be behind the fence. When I asked them, couldn't they put up what was back there, or an 8-foot fence again, they said because the city said they had to. They changed the lighting. They put a high-powered floodlight on every single darn room in the hotel. So the back of my house has 45 high-powered floodlights facing my property. At night, it lights up like Cincinnati baseball stadium. I swear you've never seen nothing like it. You have to walk out the door and shield your eyes because you can't see. The bedrooms, you can't sleep in them because it's so light in there. It's just gotten ridiculous. And when I asked them if they could do something about the lights, they said, no, the city is making, keep those lights like that. So.
Do you have his contact information, or would like to get it and maybe have staff follow up?
Yeah, I'll have Mr. Croner, Assistant City Manager, grab your contact information, sir. Just, I believe that we have it, but just so that we have the most up-to-date. I know that with the settlement that the city negotiated, there were a lot of terms that were in there. I recall you specifically coming and talking about the landscaping and us putting in items that specifically related to them meeting the code requirements
Right.
in landscaping.
Right.
And so, I'll ask that our property maintenance folks take a look at that and what the planned progress is. I do believe off of the top of my head that the 6-foot fence is what is code. I don't know if a variance was granted at some time before for an 8-foot fence, and that like should be replaced with like. And, certainly one of the things that I guess I would ask the Assistant City Manager to check on too is if indeed, he's right behind you, so that's why I'm doing this, I can't see him. I would ask him to reach out, or have maybe our folks down in DES reach out about the stumps, and if those are now going to be on your side, like to actually conduct the stump grinding and in the overseeding. So really what I want to say is, I'm looking at, and based on the comments that you've provided, we'll go ahead and we'll follow up. But the 4 items: height of the fence, lights, stumps, landscaping.
Yes. God.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I believe we did do some work with the lady that lived behind Shell to make it accommodating to her. So if you want to look at what we did there, it might be similar.
When the Shell station was redeveloped, an 8-foot fence was approved because there was an existing 8-foot fence.
Yeah.
And so that was a variance or part of the agreement when they did that the 8-foot fence was continued onto, I think, the business and the property owner.
Extended all the way to
Right.
Yeah, the slat.
So there was some consistency of an 8-foot fence there
Yeah.
previously, but I don't know how far back or where that occurred from, but
We'll
it
have
was
the
part of the
lighting,
Shell
too.
development.
pull the files on that parcel as well. I wonder if something didn't get overlooked there, or somebody didn't know.
And they did something with the lighting so it wouldn't point at their house, so maybe we can help there. Anyways, just to estimate.
It is bright. It blinks when you get on the freeway.
All right, thanks again for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to the city manager's report, where we have some information items.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Couple of items. Wednesday, May 8th, 5 PM, the city council will have the second installment of our strategic visioning retreat. And so Mr. McDaniel and Mr. Collinsworth will be back. Really looking forward to that, and thank you for the great dialogue at the last one. Community garage sale weekend, May 16th through the 19th. We have the registration on the city website. The shred day will be May 17th, and that is free to all Vandalia residents, 9 a.m. to noon. Also, that weekend, it's going to be a busy one. We have our community paint day at Justin Spivey's office at Spivey Photography on National Road. That'll be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the new mural that is going up there. Also, I'd like to congratulate Jared Hill, Brian Fine, Andrew Christian on being appointed to the position of Parks Maintenance Technician Supervisor, and then also to Chief Althouse on becoming the President of the Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police. That was really great to be able to witness. I think that's all that I have for you today. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We have no old business, and that brings us to our first resolution of this evening, that being Resolution 24-R-31. Mr. McDonald, by title only.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with A to Z Asphalt of Vandalia, Ohio, for the Sports Complex and Recreation Center asphalt maintenance project in the amount of $148,774.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Parks and Recreation Department is recommending awarding the bid for the Sports Complex Recreation Center asphalt maintenance project to A to Z Asphalt of Vandalia at a price of $148,774. On April 2nd, 2024, we opened and read proposals received for the project advertised in the Daily Court Reporter on both March 8th and March 15th, 2024. 3 companies requested the bid specifications packet. All 3 submitted for the project. The project includes repairs and maintenance to the sports complex, pathways, and recreation center parking lot. The 2024 capital improvement plan budget has $175,000 allotted for this project based on a price quote that we received during the budget process. The total bid amount specified by A to Z Asphalt for this project, again, is $148,774. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve Resolution 24R31.
Second.
Second.
Second. Me.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Blakesley and a second by Councilwoman Farce to approve Resolution 24-R-31 as presented. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Farce?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos Weaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Follett?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion passes 6-0. Next, we have Resolution 24-R-32.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of playground equipment from Landscape Structures through the State of Ohio Procurement Contract 800-841-STS-640.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt?
Your Honor, if it's okay, I will just present on R-32 and R-33 because of the similarity.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. The R-32 is for the purchase and installation of the actual playground equipment at Robinette Park. That's a state procurement program pricing. That's Landscape Structures out of Delano, Minnesota, at a cost not to exceed $413,000. The total budget amount for this that is also included is the $600,020, which also includes the safety surface. And so, again, for that, we're recommending waiving the competitive bid process in order to go with the state procurement. This being the Sourcewell for the safety surface, the Sourcewell Cooperative Procurement Program with Forever Lawn of Ohio at a cost not to exceed $187,000. That stays within it. I just point out that in this project, the development of this inclusive playground has been a collaborative project that has included input from the Montgomery County Board of Developmental Disability Services, an ad hoc volunteer playground advisory committee, the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. This was included as a regional priority in the Dayton Development Coalition's Priority Development Advisory Committee process. And it's also being funded by a combination of outside funds, including the American Rescue Plan Act, grants from the Community Development Block Grant, Brighter Tomorrows Grant, Ohio Department of Natural Resources, NatureWorks Grant, Solid Waste Management District Grant, congressionally directed spending that we just received confirmation of for the next phase for the splash pad version. There's funds that are in the pending state capital budget bill appropriation, a direct appropriation that we received from the Montgomery County Commissioners through the Montgomery County Board of Developmental Disability Services, and finally, the City of Vandalia's local capital improvement appropriations. And so we've gone a lot of places to try to make this project come and extend taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve Resolution 24R32 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Pollak and a second by Councilman Lewis to approve Resolution 24-R-32 as presented. Are any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion passes 6-0. Next, we have Resolution 24-R-33.
A resolution authorizing the purchase and installation of safety surface for playground improvements at Robinette Park from Forever Lawn of Ohio through the Sourcewell Procurement Contract 031622 FVL.
And the previous description stands, so can I have a motion?
Your Honor, move we approve Resolution 24R33 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Vice Mayor Blakesley to approve Resolution 24-R-33 as presented. Call the roll.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion passes 6-0. Next, we have Resolution 24-R-34.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a standing community reinvestment area compensation agreement with the Vandalia Butler School District.
Thank you. Mr. Wendt?
Your Honor, this is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a standing community reinvestment area compensation agreement with the Vandalia Butler City School District.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve Resolution 24R34.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Blakesley and a second by Councilman Pollak to approve Resolution 24-R-34. Any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
And I will abstain, and the motion passes 5-0 to 1 with one abstention. Abstention.
Attention.
Abstention.
Got to read what I write rather than, whatever. All right, we have no ordinances in there. Anybody else want to do that? Have no ordinances in their first reading. We do have one ordinance in a second reading, that being ordinance 24-08.
An ordinance amending the text of the Vandalia zoning code relating to signs in the Vandalia City Center overlay.
Mr. Wendt.
Your Honor, enclosed in the meeting packet is a memorandum from City Planner Hammes recommending amendments to Chapter 1220 of the Vandalia zoning code. The proposed amendments would create exceptions for existing nonconforming signs in the Vandalia City Center overlay. This request was initiated by staff. On March 26, 2024, the Planning Commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the proposed amendments.
And since this is a ordinance in its second reading, I'll open a public hearing. So if anyone would like to comment on this ordinance, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and your comment. Being none, I'll close the public hearing. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve ordinance 24-08 in its second reading.
Second?
I have a motion by Councilwoman Fairst and a second by Councilwoman Avalotis Weaver to approve Resolution 24-08 in its second reading. Any questions or comments from council? Call the roll.
Councilmember Fairst,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Follak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion passes 6-0. No abstentions. We have no emergency ordinances, and that brings us to reports from boards and commissions, where we have a variance for a driveway entrance at 4160 Little York Road. Mr. Went?
Your Honor, the applicant Select Signs on behalf of Little York Medical Center has requested a variance to allow 5 driveway entrance and intersection signs that exceed the maximum area requirement for property located at 4160 Little York Road. The applicant has proposed adding 5 driveway entrance and intersection signs that are 8 square feet in area. On April 10th, 2024, the Board of Zoning Appeals voted 5-0 to recommend approval with one condition, which is that the signs remain in the same spots they were installed in on the property and in the public right-of-way.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to deny the request for variance at 4160 Little York Road for the driveway entrance and intersection signs.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Follick and a second by Councilwoman Avalotis Weaver to deny the variance request for the driveway entrance and intersection signs at 4160 Little York Road. Are there any comments?
Yes, Your Honor. The reason I'm moving to deny this is I'm going to support staff's recommendation that the variance be denied for a number of reasons. One, primarily, is that the 2 entrance and exit signs are in the right-of-way, and those could be eliminated very easily. I believe the conditions of the property have changed since the original signs were installed, with the center concrete median that used to be in front of the business that prohibited certain turns in and out of the property. That was removed several years ago, which may have facilitated the designation of those 2 driveways as exit only or entrance only. Not only that, the exit sign, even in the pictures that were provided to council, is significantly larger than the previous sign. So they've gone ahead and made the signs larger, even though the previous signs were not and served a purpose for years. And then primarily, and this was clarified with the applicant at our study session last meeting, is the property does not, by entering or exiting either driveway, you have complete circulation of the entire parking lot. So it's not as if the parking lot or access to a certain patient parking area is being dictated by one driveway and not the other. So you can pull in on either driveway. Their interior signage I'm not as concerned with as far as staff parking and patient parking, but it doesn't matter what driveway you pull in, whether it's the entrance or the exit. You have access to all the parking in the medical complex. So I don't think that the variance rises to the level that it needs to be approved for the business to be able to continue to operate successfully. And that's why I'm moving to deny it, primarily because of the 2 large signs that remain in the right-of-way, which I think we should eliminate from the right-of-way. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
Remember, we are voting to deny.
To
So
deny.
affirmative vote is to deny.
Yes.
Good to review that.
Councilmember Lewis.
No.
Councilmember Follick.
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion passes 5-1. And next we have the Vandalia Records Commission meeting minutes of October 30th. And that brings us to council comments, and we'll begin this evening with Councilmember Lewis.
I have none this evening, Your Honor.
Are you sure?
Sort of, yes.
Okay. Councilmember Follick.
Just a couple of things. First, I want to echo congratulations to Chief Althouse on becoming the Ohio Association Chiefs of Police President for the next year, his next term. I think it's important to point out, and Chief Althouse made this point during his acceptance speech at the conference, is Chief Althouse is replacing the current president, who is from Ottawa Hills, which is a suburb of Toledo. who served last year. And historically, if you look back, Chief Doug Knight, who was obviously the police chief prior to Chief Althouse, when he served as president of the Ohio Association of Chief of Police, when he ascended to office, he also replaced the previous Ottawa Hills police chief and took leadership of the state association from them. So it was interesting that the two communities share that privilege of being the president of OACP, and they both succeeded each other. But I just want to point out that, again, we're a community of just over 15,000 people, and I think it's impressive that Chief Althouse over the past several years has been in a leadership position in the OACP, and for a chief for a community our size to take leadership of the state organization is very impressive, so congratulations on that. I also want to highlight and thank City Manager Went because, he was president, came to Columbus to see Chief Althouse become president, so I think that speaks a lot to him, but also, and not just Chief Althouse, but for Mr. Wentz allowing our city staff to become involved in state organizations and take those leadership roles. I think it speaks a lot to the development of our staff overall, that we have people in places that can allow some of our department heads to take those leadership roles in organizations, and that takes time away from work here in Vandalia, so that speaks a lot to the staff that we have in place. So thank you to both of you. I know we talked about about Police Week this week, and I just wanted to point out that Light Ohio Blue begins this Wednesday and runs May 8th through May 18th. It kind of coincides with Police Week next week. So residents are encouraged to either use blue lights or put up blue ribbons or whatever you can to help show support for law enforcement over the next week during Police Week. So I would encourage as many residents as possible to use blue lights if they can at their homes and or businesses. And then lastly, just again to congratulate all the staff, the new staff that have joined the organization, the promotions, or those that are taking new roles in the organization. It just seems like there's a change going on with some of the staff, and as we have some retirements of long-term employees, we've got people moving up into positions, and I think that's great for the organization. So congratulations to all of them. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Forrest?
I move that we excuse Councilwoman Dugan from all meetings this evening.
Can I have a motion?
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilwoman Forrest and a second by Vice Mayor Blakesley to excuse Councilmember Dugan from all of this evening's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Your word.
I know. Next, we have Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
Yes, so I wanted to just remind everybody, because I took the opportunity this past weekend to visit the Historical Society, and on the first and third Sundays from 1 to 3, they are having an open house, and it is really just amazing. And they walk you through and talk to you about the entire history. I know I'm going to have to spend a lot of time there because I didn't even hardly get through 2 buildings. So I would just remind people to go and do that. Also, we had a great kids' night out that my niece attended, and she had a great time. And just continue to remember all of the great activities that we have coming up here in the community. So that's all.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor Blakesley.
Nothing further tonight. Thank you.
All right, and the only other thing I would like to mention is, again, Ms. Swartz, we couldn't do this without you. We appreciate you so much.
She does a great job.
And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Oh, she's going to say
Hold on.
something.
I would like to thank council, and I inadvertently forgot to put Jerry McDonald, the law director, and Dan Went on council comments. My apologies. So
Taking the flowers back.
you can have the flowers back, but can I keep the gift card?
I had a lot to say.
I'm sorry.
I thought that was done by request.
So I was so concerned about having someone excuse Councilwoman Dugan that I forgot to put them back on, so I apologize. So, but thank you again for the flowers. I really appreciate it.
You are most welcome. All in favor of not allowing them to speak, say aye. Mr. McDonald, any comment? Mr. Wendt?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.